Recent national test scores show more students falling behind in school, and for parents, that is putting a renewed focus on their child's education. Joining us this morning to talk about some of these struggles is Dr. Ben Carson, neurosurgeon and former Secretary for Housing and Urban Development. Dr. Carson, good morning to you, and thank you for coming on the National Desk.
Good morning. Thanks for having me.
You are out with a new book called Crisis in the Classroom. We see it there right next to you, which you co-authored with renowned attorney Ben Crump and political commentator Armstrong Williams. In it, you discuss some of the effects of poor educational outcomes, both in communities and in future leaders. What did you find?
Well, first of all, it's important to recognize that this is a problem that affects our entire society. It doesn't matter what your political persuasion is. And what we've found is that there's little or no accountability, particularly in the public school systems in our large inner cities. By that I mean the schools get the same funding per student, and it doesn't matter whether the students pass or fail, and that's not the way the real world works. And as a result of that, there's no real incentive to do anything. So the way to obviously fix that is with school choice, so that there's competition, and also with creating standards within schools. No more social promotions. That's going on so that we have people graduating from high school in this country who are functionally illiterate. They can't fill out an application. You know, they can't read simple instructions and understand them. And what is left for people like that? Frequently, it's a life of crime and debauchery. And we don't need that. And also, we have to look at the national implications. We have 330 million people in this country. It sounds like a lot. It's a quarter of what China has. It's a quarter of what India has. We have to compete with them in the future. We will not be able to do that with a workforce that is not up to par. And when you look at many of the international studies on academic achievement, we seem to always rank near the bottom in terms of developed nations, particularly in the STEM areas. That will come back to haunt us if we don't do something about it. The warning has been sent out. It's time to act right now.
Well, and I want to ask you that we can even show this to you. The National Education Association recently tweeted that educators love their students and know better than anyone what they need to learn and to thrive. Now, I don't think anybody doubts that there are countless teachers out there who care deeply for the success of their students, but any parent will also tell you that they know what their child needs. So how can parents and teachers work together better for their kids and to achieve some of the results that you're talking about here?
Well, that's a very pertinent question. What we have seen in the last year and a half is a lot of parents suddenly getting involved, running for the school board, going to the school board meetings, demanding answers about what is being taught and what is being accomplished, because you see huge amounts of money being spent per student with little in the way of results. And this is the key. It's going to take the people and the people's oversight to make sure that standards are upheld and that we're not just going through the motions. Another thing that I really should mention, I think is very important. Early on in our nation, values and morals and respect for other people was an important part of the educational process. And we don't seem to be very much engaged in that anymore. Now it's more ideology, and that my opinion is more important than your opinion. And when we do that, we're sowing seeds of discord in our nation, and that will come back to haunt us too.
We see that in a lot of places too. Dr. Carson, I have to ask you in the few moments that we have here left with you, former President Trump says he is running again for the White House. You obviously were a key member of his administration. I'm curious, does he have your vote? Would you vote for him again? Would you work for him again if he asked?
Well, I would put it this way. I'm very interested in the success of our nation, and we have a process that will be conducted. People will go through it, and we will have an opportunity to hear what they propose, and I think we will all be able to make intelligent decisions at that point.
Dr. Ben Carson joining us this morning to discuss Crisis in the Classroom, his new book with renowned attorney Ben Crump as well as political commentator Armstrong Williams. Dr. Carson, thank you so much for joining us here on the National Desk.
Thank you so much.